Guess I'm just in a talkative mood today. It's believe like my fourth video. So what's up, motherfuckers? I figured I'd talk about my obsessions because I've had a lot of them through my life. I think my first one was when I was super young. I was like 4. I was really like when I was 4, I was like really into like Pokemon. I hate fucking anime now, but back in the day, when I was really young, I was into fucking Pokemon, and I loved all the colors and shit. I used to pretend I have imaginary friends that were fucking Pokemon because I was that pathetic. But I really loved G.I. Joes. I had like every fucking G.I. Joe. Me and all the neighbor kids were really like into like joining the military one day. I watched Pearl Harbor and like Black Hawk Down and like a bunch of shit like that. Like I was really interested in that. Like a big history buff because my grandpa always watched like all the war stuff and like sci-fi and shit. So I was really interested in like military stuff and like G.I. Joes and shit. And then I think after that, my grandma, I was really trying to get into like the church choir, which I actually was in the church choir for like 10 years, from like 4 to basically 14 or whatever. So I was really obsessed with like singing, and musical instruments and, all that. But that comes also at a different point too, because it also goes from 12 to now, because I've always loved guitars and I've had drums. I'm on my second drum kit. I've probably had over 40 guitars, multiple bass. I probably had like 5 basses. I don't even know how many acoustical guitars I've had, acoustic electrics. I took classes at DVC. So let's just go on the music part for a second. I was really into that whole emo scene, and I still really love all music. Like music's the only thing that's really truly there for me. So that's my biggest obsession is music. Let's get that out the way. But so yeah, I went from being younger to being obsessed with like G.I. Joes and shit to like, then my grandma tried to get me into like, more girly shit. So the most I went with that was like, there was like a bunch of like wind chimes, like that were rainbow that we'd get at like Walgreens and like Longs and CVS, back when those existed. So I was really into like rainbow pastel colors, and the whole room was like rainbow and like calming, and it was really cool, and I was really into that. And then I was really into Beanie Babies, so we went to fucking garage sales, and back when garage sales were like more interesting, we get a bunch of Beanie Babies and stuff, and that was cool for a minute. And then I was really obsessed with Hot Wheels because I loved cars, mainly Mustangs and Salines or whatever. She'd always take me to like car shows. We'd go to boat shows or whatever with my grandpa, and some of those boats would be better than most houses I've seen, like, and I went to like all the old car places and stuff. And we used to go like Kmart back when that existed. They used to have like these midnight showings or like 6 a.m. showings of like all the new Hot Wheels and all the Hot Wheel collectors, because one of her customers told her about it because he was a big Hot Wheel collector. So we used to go to Kmart at like midnight or 6 in the morning. Grandma used to take me, and she would buy like hundreds of dollars worth of Hot Wheels at a time. We'd get all the mystery cars and all this stuff, and of course I just displayed them all in the room. And then I was really into like RC drifting cars because I had Heelys at the time, like the shoes with wheels. And then she bought me all these like BMW drifters and stuff, like big ass remote control cars, and they would drift too while I was drifting on my Heelys, so I really loved that. And then once I hit like probably 13, I was mainly just more about like music and reading. I was really into reading like my whole life, really. Like read the Bible multiple times. I've read Dante's Divine Comedy. I remember she tried to take me to a psychiatrist because I said, she thought I had mental problems, which I do, and I was reciting Dante's Divine Comedy, Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, all this shit to the fucking psychiatrist, and he's like, if anything, you're just fucking ADHD, you're not crazy, you're not, you're just a normal teenager or whatever. And like they'd show me pictures and we'd articulate, and I was really into like, I'm really into art, like mainly Thomas Kinkade. Like I know older fucking shit, that my people in my age group don't generally know because I'm more into that shit, so like, read like fucking like Dracula, like whatever, old painters and stuff. Like I really appreciate art and literature, and I think that's still, besides music, that's my second big obsession. But I would always read. We'd go to the library and I'd just read, all fucking day. Because I'd get all my homework done in like a month, I'd just correct all my own answers because I was homeschooled. And then boom, I had the whole rest of the year to do whatever the fuck I wanted. So it was mainly just music and reading. And then when I was 15, I think my main obsession was drugs. That lasted for quite some time, maybe until I was like 19 or 20. I don't think I'm missing. Oh yeah, back in the days, probably when I was like 10 or 11 and 12, I still really loved sharks, but I was really into sharks, and there was like a show and tell thing, and you're at the homeschool, the Horizons Home Study, and you're supposed to like make a book. Basically, my first one was like all camping stories, then it was poetry. I remember I used to do this every year, and then one year it was sharks, you know, where I talked about all these different sharks. Then another year it was like Lincoln, which I don't know why, but Abraham Lincoln's kind of interesting, you know. So it was like a bunch of shit. So I think that's kind of all my little random obsessive things that I've, you know, whatever. Now it's just basically like probably my dogs, you know, music. Well, obviously my wife and my dogs are my number one obsession. You know, it's constantly something I'm thinking about and doing shit for. You know, then secondly it would be music, because it's always been there for me. Thirdly would be like occult literature and horror movies. Horror movies is just like a staple. Same with music and books. It's just there. Like there's no, you know, competing with it or nothing, you know. But yeah, that's my obsession.